Have you ever scrolled through social media and felt like you're on a completely different planet? Everyone's doing the same viral dance, using the same slang, or buying the same must-have gadget, and you just don't get it. You're not alone. In fact, there's a fascinating psychology behind why some people just never jump on the bandwagon. It's not about being stubborn or behind the times. It's about how your brain is wired. Let's start with a core concept: conformity. For most of human history, fitting in was a survival mechanism. Why, if your tribe found a good water source or a safe way to hunt, you'd be wise to follow their lead. This instinct is still with us. When we see a trend explode, our brains get a little ping of social pressure. We want to belong, to be part of the in-group. This desire releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine when we participate. Trends give us a shared language, a sense of community, and an easy way to signal that we're in the know. But what if you don't get that same rush? What if seeing everyone do the same thing makes you want to run in the opposite direction? This is where the psychology of nonconformists comes in. For these individuals, the internal reward system works differently. Instead of getting a dopamine hit from fitting in, they get it from authenticity and independent thought. Their sense of self isn't tied to external validation from the group. Instead, it's built from a strong internal framework of their own values, interests, and beliefs. One of the biggest personality traits associated with this is a high degree of openness to experience. This is one of the big 5 personality traits. People high in openness are curious, creative, and value novelty, but novelty on their own terms. A viral trend by its very nature isn't novel once it's everywhere. It's repetitive. So, a person with high openness might be the first one to discover an obscure indie band. But they'll likely lose interest the moment that band's song becomes a TikTok anthem. Their thrill comes from discovery, not participation in a mass movement. Another key factor is having a strong, stable self-concept. People who don't follow trends often have a very clear idea of who they are. They've spent time developing their own tastes, style, and hobbies. Think of it like building a house. If your house is built on a solid foundation of your own identity, you don't feel the need to constantly redecorate it based on your neighbor's latest design choices. You're comfortable in your own space. Someone with a weaker self-concept might feel a stronger need to borrow identity markers from popular culture to feel complete or accepted. They use trends as a blueprint for how to be. Then there's the role of social influence, or rather, a resistance to it. We're all susceptible to social proof, the idea that if lots of people are doing something, it must be the right thing to do. It's a mental shortcut. But some people have a more critical filter. When they see a trend, their first thought isn't, everyone's doing it, so I should too. It's, why is everyone doing this? Does this align with my values? Is this genuinely interesting to me? Or am I just feeling pressured? This analytical approach short-circuits the automatic impulse to conform. They're less likely to be swayed by influencer marketing or peer pressure because their decision-making process is more internally driven. Let's talk about the brain's reward system again, specifically dopamine. For many, joining a trend and getting likes or positive comments provides a quick dopamine hit. It's a form of social reward. For a nonconformist, that reward might come from a different place. It could be the satisfaction of solving a complex problem, the joy of creating a unique piece of art, or the peace of a quiet walk in nature. Their dopamine pathways are calibrated to respond to different stimuli. The fleeting validation of a trend just doesn't compete with the deeper, more sustained satisfaction they get from pursuing their own passions. They're not antisocial. They're just differently socialized, finding fulfillment in smaller, deeper connections or individual pursuits rather than broad, shallow trends. So, is not caring about trends a strength or a defense mechanism? The answer is, it can be both. On one hand, it's a huge strength. It signifies independence, self-awareness, and authenticity. People who forge their own path are often the innovators, the artists, and the thought leaders who create the culture that others eventually follow. They save a lot of time, money, and mental energy by not chasing fleeting fads. Their happiness isn't dependent on the next product launch or viral challenge. This internal locus of control is a strong predictor of long-term well-being and resilience. They can weather social changes and cultural shifts without losing their sense of self. However, it can also be a defense mechanism. For some, a rejection of all things popular might stem from a place of fear or past hurt. Maybe they were rejected by a popular group in school, and now they preemptively reject trends to avoid the possibility of not fitting in again. This is known as reactive nonconformity. It's not about genuine disinterest, but about defining oneself in opposition to the mainstream. In this case, the person is still letting the trend control their behavior, just in reverse. Their identity is not that, which is still a reaction to that. A truly independent person doesn't care enough to be actively against it. They are simply neutral and focused on their own thing. Another potential downside is social disconnection. While it's great to be independent, trends do serve a social function. They're cultural touchstones that create shared experiences and conversations. Deliberately ignoring all of them can sometimes lead to feeling isolated or out of touch. It might be harder to connect with colleagues or new acquaintances if you have no idea what they are re-referencing from popular culture. The key is balance. You don't have to participate in every trend, but being aware of the cultural landscape can still be a useful social tool. So how can you tell the difference? A healthy nonconformist doesn't judge others for following trends. They have a live and let live attitude. They re-secure enough in their own choices that they do and need to put others down to feel superior. If someone's nonconformity comes with a heavy dose of criticism for sheeple or those who enjoy popular things, it might be leaning more towards a defense mechanism, an identity built on a sense of superiority, rather than genuine self-interest. If you've ever felt like an outsider because you don't get the hype, it's likely that your brain is just wired for a different kind of reward. You prioritize authenticity over applause, discovery over participation, and internal validation over external approval. You're not broken or weird. You're just operating on a different frequency. Your mind is less influenced by the temporary buzz of the collective and more in tune with the steady rhythm of your own internal world. This disposition is incredibly valuable. It's the mindset that leads to timeless creations and deep, meaningful work. While trends come and go, a strong sense of self is permanent. So, the next time you feel a little disconnected from the latest craze, remember that it might just be your brain's way of keeping you focused on what truly matters to you. Embrace your unique perspective. The world needs people who follow the crowd, but it also desperately needs those who are brave enough to walk their own path. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about a trend you happily ignored. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights into the way our minds work. See you next time.